All right, we are live here. Let me go ahead and get us live in Facebook. So give me just a second. I was trying to get so many things done. All right. I had a meeting that I was on right before this, so I was trying to dash off from one thing to the other. So give me just a second.
No worries.
All right, we're going live in the Facebook group. All right, and Angie, I don't know if you're still here. I saw you were popping in on YouTube. So if you're still here, let me know. Going live in the. All right, so let me get everybody set up.
I will have to hop off when my next patient comes on at
Pardon?
1 o'clock Mountain. I have to hop off.
So what time is it there now?
It is noon.
Okay.
So we got
So
about
got an hour. Okay. That sounds good. Hi, Raina. We've got Raina here. So on Facebook. So super glad to have you here. And Angie, if you're still here, definitely thank you for being here. And we'll see who else pops in. But I had such an amazing time meeting you on for our podcast, and your story is so intriguing. And there's something I want to talk to you about before when we get off here, before we stop.
Okay. All right.
So help me remember to do that. But Rose has such a compelling story about things in her life and why she does what she does. She's a brain. Do you call yourself a brain expert?
I'm a brain therapist.
Brain therapist. Okay. All right. So if you want, go ahead and maybe share a little bit about your story. So then we can get into some questions and that people might have.
I have lots of stories that led me to be
No.
in this position, but one of the main ones was a concussion that happened that opened my eyes into how my brain controls my emotions. And the biggest thing I think was probably a head-on collision that I had. And it left me with a concussion that I didn't know I had lost my memory. I felt fine. I mean, I wasn't told. I mean, I was injured, but I could think, and I knew who I was. My kids looked a little bigger, but I didn't really associate that. And then I was in another accident about 3 months after, and
These are car accidents, right?
yeah. One was a head-on collision where someone was trying to take his own life, and so he came to my side of the highway and hit me head on, and I injured
Is
my
that the
back.
first one?
Yep.
Okay.
I injured my back and neck, and my son injured his back as well. And so we had a lot of recovery time. And during that recovery time, I noticed things were a little off, but I kept thinking, oh, it's probably the concussion, it'll go away. And what just didn't really bother me. And then the second was a T-boned, like somebody T-boned me, and it nearly flipped my truck over. It was such a hard hit, and I got another concussion, but I didn't know it at the time. I was like, no, I'm good. And I was really feeling good with PT and everything from the first accident. So I was thinking, I'm on my way. I'm good. And that night, I, of course, had all of the concussion symptoms. And the next morning, I went in and I had a really bad concussion. So they did a brain scan. And I had not cleared up the first concussion, which I thought I had. And this one just made it so much worse. And they gave me some tests, and I was cognitively okay. So they sent me home. And about a month later, I was out in the country with my son on a rural highway. And I noticed this car coming really fast at my tailgate. And I thought, man, I just got my truck fixed. Dude, get off my tail. And so I sped up and we were going about 75. And I just sped up really fast and I pulled over onto the side of the road. And he hit me in the back end going 75 miles an hour without braking.
Wow.
And I ended up with a concussion. I didn't hit anything with my head, but just my brain sloshing around in my head brought it on full force. And my son, who was with me, was fine. And so I think it was just because I had already had that precursor. And so it wasn't shortly after that, maybe 2 or 3 months, it was spring break. And I took my kids on spring break. And I didn't know I had taken them on spring break because I didn't have any memory. But every morning was like the first day of spring break.
So wait. So back up just a bit. You're going fast. So when you take them on spring break, so you were cognitive about that. You decided you were going to
remember.
You don't remember. So
No.
what do your kids say about that? Did they see anything was off?
No. Well, they were little, and I think they were just enjoying that I was doing so much with them. So, I had a couple of teens as well. And one of them had a friend with us. And of course, I allowed them to bring friends because I wasn't in my right frame of mind. And I was thinking, let's just go have some fun. I mean, we have 3 weeks off. Let's do it. And so apparently, so I went and we went everywhere. We went to Hersheytown, Pennsylvania. We went to Miami. We went to Washington, D.C. We went to the Arch in St. Louis. I mean, we went everywhere. We went to a museum that was for Superman. I mean, in Indiana. I mean, and then one morning early, like 3 a.m., I woke up and I didn't recognize where I was. And so it wasn't the kids were waking me up and saying, "Hey, Mom, we're on vacation." So there was no reset. It was just I woke up in the middle of the night and I slid my phone off my nightstand and I crawled into the bathroom and I called my husband. I'm like, "Babe, oh my God, I've been kidnapped." And he's like, "Rosemary, it's 3 a.m. Are you sleeping?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Where's our kids?" And I'm like, "With you." He's like, "They're not with me. You've got to be sleeping, look out there." And I'm like, "There's bodies all over. I think it's sex trafficking." And I was just totally sold by this. And he goes, "Look again." And I looked and I thought, "Oh, that's my suitcase. I packed for this." I just could not get over. And I'm like, "I don't understand." He goes, "You know what? Those are your kids. Those are your kids and their friends. Go out there and look." And so I did. And I'm like, "They're really big." And he goes, "Something's not right." And then he says, "I have to tell you something. We're not married."
Oh, wow.
I didn't even remember getting a divorce. And he goes, "Just, wake the kids and drive home." So I went straight home. And he goes, "You've been gone for 6 weeks." And I said, "No, I haven't." He goes, "Look at your phone. You've been sending me pictures every day. I just assumed you were taking the kids away." And I'm like, "No, I didn't know. I just thought that this was the first day that we were," because every morning
it felt like a new day.
But I couldn't remember that we were gone.
Yeah.
And so the kids would wake me up and I'd be like, "Oh, we're okay." I mean, yesterday must have been so hectic. I must have been so tired, or maybe we were driving. I never really,
amazing how our brain can make all these excuses for us so that this all seems normal.
It did. And it felt normal. It seemed normal. And, I kept looking and thinking, and then he said, "You kids get in the truck and get your mom home. You're about depleted her bank account." And so we went home and he right away took me out of my car and took me to the Swedish National Hospital in Denver. And they did another brain scan and the front part of my brain was not working.
Oh.
So all I had, that's why my kids look so big all of a sudden. I kept thinking, "Where'd you get those clothes?" I didn't remember buying those clothes. Like, why are we here? Like, what's going on? I just thought maybe I was tired, but it took me several weeks to even figure out, oh, it was from the accident. And then I had to leave myself notes. And because I lived on my phone, my calendar kept me track. Like I would say, oh, it's, there's basketball tonight. Oh, there's soccer today. Oh, and I would look at my phone. So it kept me kind of in the groove. And then when I'd see my kids in the morning, I'd be like, oh, wow, you grew. And they would laugh at me because it probably sounded like I was just being really nice, like a nice mom.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely shocked. Like the last time I saw you, you were like 6 years old and now you're 16.
Oh, wow.
Like it was just, I was like, okay, God, what is going on? And finally we figured that out. And after about, I'd say a year, it took almost a year of taking a lot of supplements. And there was this wonderful woman who was a intern that helped me. And I cannot find her. If she recognizes me and sees this, just reach out to me. I want to thank you in person, because it was through her effort that I became a brain therapist. She put me on the road to understanding how to boost chemistry in your brain and how to eat for it and how to heal it. And there's a concussion kit that you can take. And I didn't know any of that. None of the other doctors ever told me any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Never too late to start that. I mean, you could have had a concussion 10 years ago. If you take it today, you will have some healing. It may not be the most, but there is healing that comes from it.
That's intriguing to think about, because my son played football and baseball when he was young, and he had several concussions. The interesting thing was they didn't come from football; they came from baseball, from the ball hitting the helmet and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So he had several concussions. They weren't, severe concussions, but they were still concussions. So I wonder if that's something that he might need.
It probably is.
Yeah.
So there's a whole list of vitamins if you take it for 7 days. And I have the list and I've taken the class that goes with it. I actually went to Ammon University. I don't know if you know Dr. Ammon. He's a pretty well-known psychiatrist, and like world renowned. Dr. Ammon, like in Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.
Go look him up. And his wife is Tana Ammon. And she's a nutritionist. She's also, I think she's either got her PhD or she's got a nursing degree or something, but she's also a nutritionist, and she has all kinds of foods and things that help you change your brain, change your life, change your mind.
Does it work for people that, I know Alzheimer's and things like that are a different part of the brain or different concept of the brain. So is that something that works for those people as well?
Okay. So
I'm not asking too many questions.
No, let's unravel that together.
Okay.
So with Alzheimer's and dementia, there's usually, if you catch it early enough, you can stop it from getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets worse, you can't rewind it. It happens like in the saddle part of your brain. So when you're thinking about dementia, and I've had several sisters pass away with dementia and Alzheimer's. And so I was pretty worried about that and went and got my brain scanned and made sure I didn't have that gene and that I eat right for it. So I genuinely eat to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia. So there is a lot of things that you can do before you get it or to keep it at the stage it's at. But if it's too far gone, there's not a lot of recourse to bring it back yet. I mean, I think they're working on it, but not. There is a guy. I think his name is Dr. Love.
Oh, Raina says she has one of Amon's books, I guess. Did I say it right? Ammon?
Yeah, Dr. Ammon. Like
Ammon.
Yeah. Okay. Amen. Dr. Ammon.
So Raina says she has one of his books. So that's great.
Yeah.
So what about people that, like you, as you get older and they just talk about, that you have this cognitive decline as you get older? That's probably not accurate, right?
Not accurate.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who are 100 who can think clear and cognitively their body may not function as well because muscle wise, they didn't keep up with it. But there are a lot of people who kept up with their mind and their muscles, and they're absolutely in perfect condition at 80 years old. So no, I don't put anything in my mouth that's bad for my brain.
Yeah.
And if you stick with that, you actually have a lot of recourse when it comes to what runs in my family, what runs in your family, what runs in their family. And not everything is hereditary. It's the way that you take care of it. But if 30% is hereditary, what are you doing with the other 60, 70?
Yeah.
What are you doing with that? Like there are some things that you could do that actually might work really well for you to not have whatever your family has. Like I
Yeah.
have a history of heart disease in my family. My heart's in pretty good condition, but I eat for my heart and my brain. I have a history of my mom, my oldest sister, the sister after her, the sister after her. I mean, they've all had, and then my youngest sister, they've all had something around dementia or Alzheimer's as they aged.
Hmm.
That could have
Yeah.
probably been prevented if I would have known what I know now. I might have had a chance to help other people in my family, but most people in my family, they pass on. Like my mom passed away at 56. That's how old I am.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to too, not just the genetic thing, because there's epigenetics that plays a part. So you can have all those dormant genes in there and just not pull the trigger. That's the thing that always makes me feel better, because it doesn't matter what my family history is.
Right.
I can do things to make sure that that's not awoken gene in me. So I love what you're doing. And so, do you have um like what did you do first after you did all the testing and this woman got you interested in discovering about the brain?
Yeah, holistic help. I had to drink a half a cup of omegas every day for 6 weeks. A half a cup. It's like drinking olive oil, and it was awful. Now I have found some orange flavored omegas from Core Omega Max, which are great. Core Omega Max Gold, and I take that every day. There's 3,000 in that, but I was taking 16,000 a day.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just an overabundance, and I think through that was probably the best thing. There was some N-acetylcholine that I was taking, a lot of different holistic things, and of course, a really heavy anti-inflammatory like a steroid, because inflammation can block the way that the bruise on the brain can heal. It's like a bruise on your knee; it goes away eventually because the blood kind of flows through, and
Mm-hmm.
a bruise on the brain does not heal the same way. And so she was trying to teach me a little bit about that, and then about how we eat for it as well. Not necessarily all medical or all medicine related, mostly holistic ways. And
Mm-hmm.
right after that, I went through a series of physical therapy, and the physical therapy was to help with balance. So I lost my balance, and I literally had a hard time not looking drunk. I looked like I had vertigo every day for probably 2 years. And there was places in my spine that would swell up. So the anti-inflammatories, you can't take a steroid all the time. You can't be on that all the time. So I learned
Right.
about anti-inflammatory eating, an anti-inflammatory diet, understanding how anti-inflammatories affect your um, moods and attitudes like depression and anxiety. And then I found out I had ADHD.
Oh, wow.
I had it my whole life and I didn't know. I just thought that that's the way everybody thought. And
Mm-hmm.
once I started taking vitamins and minerals that affected the way I thought, and I understand how to control my emotions a little bit better and my reactions and my energy, I was pretty close to 55 or 45 years old. So it hasn't been that long that I've had this stable of a mind to even do this. I would be so anxious. I would never have been able to do this.
Wow.
I would,
Wow.
in fact, I couldn't even really look people in the eye. I had such bad social anxiety. Speaking in public was hard for me. Even the stress, I would snap at my children and I wouldn't remember snapping at them because I was just so stressed about getting the next thing done. And they didn't deserve that. But there are some regrets and there are some things that I repeated unknowingly. But now
Mm-hmm.
that I know how I can affect my emotions, my attitude, my mood with what I put in my mouth, how I act, how I boost my neurotransmitters. Um, I rewire my patterns, and it's just not a patch. It's not like you take medicine for depression, and you're actually just stretching it out for the day. So, like, say you need serotonin, you take an SSRI. You're actually just taking it and you're making it last throughout the day, it doesn't give you more serotonin. That's not how that works, right? So
Mhm.
how would you boost serotonin? You have to look it up and say, oh, I could eat these foods. I could do this. I could do that. Saffron is one of the best ways for me to work with my emotions. And it's called the happiness spice, saffron.
Yeah.
And so I tend
Maybe
to,
that's why it's so expensive.
well, you could eat a whole bowl of rice or one scoop. It doesn't matter. It's only gonna last for 2 hours.
Say
One,
this again.
you could eat a whole bowl of rice or one scoop. Doesn't matter. It's only gonna last for 2 hours.
Okay.
So then in 2 hours, eat another scoop. You don't have to eat it all at once because it's not gonna last all day. The more you take, doesn't, like most people will think, well, I'll eat the whole jar of gummies and then I'll be nice to my family. No, it's
You might be, something else, but
right. Yeah, I be in the bathroom all day.
yeah.
So through brain-based strategies and emotional recalibration and these proven tools, they kind of make lasting change so that I don't have to actually, I've never been on medication for depression, but I thought I had depression because of the concussion that I had. I thought I
Mm.
had anxiety, but really what it was ADHD. I thought I had, which I had a very traumatic childhood and a very traumatic adulthood. I mean, there's been some things that have happened and I'm like, wow. But when those things happen, you're a victim in that minute.
Mm-hmm.
When they're done, you're in survival mode.
Right.
When people live in that victimhood for too long, they end up gathering support from their brain to be in that mode of operation. So, like, man, I am so sad. Oh, she needs sadness. Let's give her chemistry to support sadness. That's not really what you should do. It's your victim in the minute. And when the time has passed, you're now in survival mode. When you're
Right.
in survival mode, your brain doesn't want to change because you're surviving. So then you have to use a change process, which would be 30% audio, 60% visual, 10% cognitive. So if you think about it, that's 10%. You know, they say change the way you think, change the way you feel, change the way you act. That's only 10%. You got another 90% out there that could affect you. That is, tell your brain, it's always listening. Speak out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Visualize it, 60%. I visualize my house clean. I say, okay, I call my brain Nagalita because she nags me all the time. Okay, Naggy, we are going to clean this house today. And I visualize what I want the kitchen to look like when I'm done. And then 10% is cognitive. Okay, I have from 1 to 2. Let's do it. That's when we're going to do it. So I've made a plan. I've visualized it. And I am 100% on board to do that kitchen from 1 to 2. If I just thought, you know what, I should probably clean that kitchen. You think I'm going to do that? It's only 10%. So we always have that recalibration of using how we modify motivation, momentum, decision making, discipline, all of those things that give you some real transformation. It's not about working harder. It's not about trying harder. It's about rewiring smarter.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So if I can ask a question, and Raina, if you have any questions, or Angie, if you have any questions, and there's other people that are watching, but if you have any questions, definitely let me know. But for me, it's like when you're talking about eating for your brain. So could you give us or give me 3 things that we really need to avoid and maybe 3 things that we need to add?
Okay.
Is that possible?
It's so possible. I'm going to tell you the difference between neurotransmitters. So
Okay.
if you are needing dopamine, bananas, almonds, avocados. Another way to boost dopamine would be to make yourself a list. Every time you check something off, you get a little boost of dopamine. A
Mm-hmm.
reward system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Engaging in hobbies,
Mm-hmm.
celebrating small wins. Those are all dopamine. So if you're trying to do serotonin, turkey, eggs, nuts. Think about those 3 things. those incorporate tryptophan. So if you spend time in natural sunlight, you also get vitamin D. So vitamin D, if you take that, also helps with serotonin, right? So vitamin D is actually the sunshine vitamin. And if you
Mm-hmm.
have a lack of serotonin or a lack of vitamin D, you generally are considered to be depressed, right? So basically, if you're in depression, you have a lack of serotonin. Eat some turkeys, eggs, nuts, get some sunshine, practice some gratitude, thought journaling while I brush my teeth. I thank you for my toothbrush. Thank you for my toothpaste. I thank you for anything that I can think of. And if I can't think of anything, when I'm done brushing my teeth, I have to look around. Okay, what am I thankful for today? What was I thankful for yesterday? And I have to start the day out gratitude, because when you start out with lack, it's so much easier to get down in the dumps than when you
Right.
start out up here.
Yeah,
So
I tell everybody the first thing you are grateful for in the morning is that you actually woke up, because that's a biggie, right? Not everybody was able to do it. Now, I
yeah,
have to ask really quick. I know you've got puppies, and I was thinking, what is that sound? What does that sound? It's your puppies, right?
yes, I love
I love puppies.
these. Oh my God, they're so good. But they're only a couple of days old.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so if I go in there, she'll growl and bark at me. So,
yeah, yeah. No,
but
I
they're very
love. Oh, it's funny because all of a sudden I thought I know what that is, because I remember seeing her Facebook post that she's got puppies.
not new puppies. And I tried to move as far away from as I can,
Yeah.
but if I go too far, then she gets nervous and stands up with all the babies on her,
Yeah.
and they get a little bit
Yeah.
squealy.
I mean,
So
it's not a problem. It was just like I was trying to think. First, I was thinking, is my dog downstairs making a noise? I thought, no, that doesn't sound like him. So, oh, I don't know what it is. So, anybody that's watching and listening, it's the puppies, and they are so cute. So, if you haven't checked, if you are not following Rose on Facebook, you definitely need to, because that's where I saw the puppies.
and you can
And
grab a puppy if you want a puppy.
pardon?
If they want a puppy, I have 10 left. I have
Oh,
golden
okay.
Dane.
What kind are they?
Great Dane. They're purebred Great Dane.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, they're gonna
We
be
have
big guys.
we have some Blue Danes, some Harlequin, some gray Harlequin, some white Harlequin, and we actually have a Scooby Doo color. So
Oh,
one Scooby Doo color. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have to make sure we put the link to get to your Facebook on in the comments when we get done. Somebody might want to check out those puppies. They were so cute. And when they're little like that, it's hard to know what they're going to be when they grow up. But I didn't realize they were Great Danes.
Yeah, I have some posts of the mom and dad,
Okay.
and they will look really similar to them.
Okay.
So,
All
yeah.
right. Cool. I'm glad I asked.
I was wondering if you could hear them, because I had patients this morning and nobody could hear them. So I was like, oh, I think I'm safe.
Yeah, you're still safe. You're still safe, but yeah, I can hear them. But it was like a delicious sound, especially once I realized it was the puppies, because I love puppies. So back to you.
That's right. So you know how most people say if you have anxiety, you need serotonin or you need dopamine? That's not really true. It's GABA. So to boost GABA, and to fight off anxiety, to fight off overwhelm, to fight off racing thoughts,
Mhm.
you're going to want to use leafy greens and dark chocolate. There's probably a third one, doesn't come to mind right now, but those are like, I actually reward myself throughout the day with dark chocolate.
Okay.
Like 70% or higher helps with boosting GABA. Now, it doesn't give you GABA, but it helps your body to produce GABA. The same thing as you could buy a metabolized form of GABA through Superior Source. They have that, but consuming magnesium-rich foods really helps with the production of GABA, and that's going to help reduce anxiety and whatnot. So the best thing that you can do with that is 4-7-8, which is put your hands together, put it behind your head, and just, do you feel that release? That's telling your body that you're safe. There's no danger.
Yeah, because it's kind of like when the dog rolls over so you can rub its tummy. It's more open and not stressed and worried. It feels it's safe. So it's the same thing, right? Opening up. Okay.
It's telling your body you don't need any cortisol and you don't need any
Yeah.
adrenal gland function.
You don't need to protect.
So if you do that a few times a day, you
Okay.
also will be able to better produce GABA.
Okay. Very good. Very
We're just
good.
running down the basics of these
Yeah.
norepinephrine.
Well, let me ask you. So you're talking about a lot of the things that to eat and all for all of this, but what are some things like maybe just two or three that we should really avoid because they are very detrimental to our brain? Is there
Um,
anything like that?
Depends on the person.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
that's too broad a
everybody's
statement.
body, yeah, everybody's body's a little bit different, but I would avoid alcohol.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the number one thing, and marijuana. After a series of, if you go follow Dr. Ammon, you can see what alcohol and marijuana can do to the brain over a series of years. And it doesn't have to be a long time, 2 or 3 years, 10 years, doesn't even matter. Sometimes after 5 years, somebody who just smokes marijuana once a day, a few hits, is in worse shape brain than somebody who drinks every day. So it
Mm.
just depends.
What about sugar?
Sugar is not your brain's friend, but it's also not the enemy if you have a good body. So
Okay.
everybody's a little bit different, and people will say avoid sugar at all cost. You actually need some sugar. So don't just have a sugar-free life unless you really do have.
Raina said so long martinis.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal with drinking, and I could, don't quote me on this because I might be wrong, but I think it's better if you drink 5 on Friday instead of drinking 1 every night, because a little bit of alcohol every night does decrease the way that your brain works. So for me, I just make a rule. I don't drink unless I'm celebrating. I don't have anything to celebrate. I better not be drinking. And I don't keep it in my house. But there are things like Apothecary. They have created some drinks that are just amazing. And they replace the wine at night, because a lot of people wind down with wine.
Hmm.
They have a wind down Apothecary, and I'll try to leave that link in
Okay.
as well. But there's a lot of things that you can do. L-theanine is one of the best ways to calm your mind, and that is found in green tea. What else is found in green tea is caffeine. So caffeine from Coke and coffee and all that actually decreases the way the blood flows through the brain. L-theanine and green tea, they don't. So
Okay.
you still have a pretty good open blood flow. And so a lot of times hibiscus, green tea, and maybe fresh lemon and a little bit of monk fruit or some kind of natural stevia, something like that, can make a great wind down if you want to do it homemade.
Okay.
Um, it's not horrible to celebrate. It's just not good for you to do it every day. And they used to say, 2 drinks will help you with your heart, but they never told you 2 drinks will make it bad for your brain. So
Yeah.
a lot of times it's just the person and the individual. And there's been people who have drank every day of their life and they've been fine, but their liver was great, right? Not
Hmm.
everybody's liver is going to be great.
Well, there's always an outlier, an exception to everything, right? So that thank you for sharing that. And one of the things I'm thinking of is that I one of the books that I love is called it's by Jeff Olson, and it is The Slight Edge. If you've ever read it, but he talks about it's how the things that we do every day we don't notice in the moment, but we would benefit if suddenly a blister would pop up or something when we did something, because we don't notice anything until we've done it continuously over and over and over again. So that's that 1% change every day creates exponential growth, but it also creates exponential unhealth, exponential growth or with your brain. So there's all these different things. So like you were saying, drinking your 5 glasses on Friday or Saturday night would be better than doing it every single day, because not only does that create the habit, and your body probably gets a little bit more of because it becomes more of a ceremonial thing, almost like, we have this mindset that this is what we have to do every day to be okay,
Right?
instead of it just being, like you said, a celebration.
It is a pattern. And when we get into patterns, patterns don't always have to be bad patterns. There are good patterns, but if you want to break a pattern, it's like breaking a habit.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to keep in mind that there are some things that our body does adjust for. And just because your body says, I need that, doesn't mean it's good for you.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And that kind of is a good flow right into negative beliefs or negative thought patterns. And I'll mention that on the 19th, I have 5 of us women coming together to explore negative beliefs and how they affect our mood, our attitude, and our relationships. And so I wanted to throw it out there and say, do you have any negative belief? Like, I'm not good enough, I'll never change, success is for other people. Like, what's one that you have? And I'll see if I can turn it around for you today. And this is how you're going to.
So do you have anything, Raina, for that? She says she likes Rise, R-Y-Z-E. Is that a drink? I don't know. Oh, mushroom. What about mushroom tea, she says?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So let's just say somebody who consistently gets things wrong. Okay. Since you didn't give me one, I'll make one up. How about they consistently get things wrong? Like, I always mess things up. Let's do that one. So if I said I always mess things up, and I'm talking with someone like a brain coach, it's nope. You've handled 100% of your worst days so far.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to control all the things in every day, right? Or how about I don't deserve happiness?
Yeah. I think some of those are the things that are kind of in the back that people don't understand that they even have.
Right.
So there's symptoms of something that's showing up in your life every day, and that's probably the limiting belief that is contributing to it. But most people have no clue what those limiting beliefs are.
Right. Or, like a big ADHD one for me is that I'm only as worthy as how much I produce, and my production is low and I am not worthy, or I have to be perfect to be worthy. But perfection is kind of a scam, right? And so worthiness isn't really earned. It's just yours, and you either have it or you don't.
Right.
And the way that you don't would be those life things that came into play. But even if you have breath of life, that means you're worthy of living, right?
Right.
You're worthy of happiness, you're worthy of trust, you're worthy of fun, you're worthy of figuring things out. All of these things that we tell ourselves keep us stuck in that. And that's part of eating healthy too, because if your brain doesn't have enough oil on it, it won't spark right. Just like your car doesn't have oil in it, it doesn't keep going. It doesn't have gas in it, it stops, right? So all of these nutrients that we put in our brain is like 80 to 85% liquid. And so if I took your brain out of your head and I threw it on the floor, it would smush like soft butter. Okay.
Oh, okay.
If we're dehydrated, it doesn't do that. And it doesn't spark right. So we want to make sure that we're hydrated. We want to make sure we have enough oil. Because if it's sparking here, or if it's not sparking at all, like it's not reaching, it's like spark plugs in your car, you have a backfire. And that can cause that looping too. Like, why did I come in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll remember in a minute.
Where was I going with that talk?
Yeah.
Those kind of things. It's because we're either dehydrated, we don't have enough liquid, or we don't have enough oil, we didn't eat enough foods, we're not actually eating for our brain. And a lot of people think, oh, that's just because I'm aging. That's not true. That's simply not the truth. So all of these things, even negative beliefs, come from our life experiences, how we've dealt with our brain, how we fed it, how we fuel our soul, how we fuel our body, how we fuel our brain. And food is the fuel for your brain.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I hear most from people is the imposter syndrome. It's like they feel like no matter what, they don't measure up to whatever it is they're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. If you have imposter syndrome or you're wearing a mask, it's actually not because of other people. It's because you don't believe in you. right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times people say, fake it till you make it, which is totally true, but you can't lose yourself while you're doing that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we learn so much while we're faking it from other people that are around us. And that just brings me to the next thing. You surround yourself by the people you want. You're number 5 out of 5 people. If 4 of them are depressed, well, so are you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to actually work on social and communication and comprehension. And you have to understand where you are, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there. Otherwise, it's like getting in your car and putting in an address, and then you're on your way, and all of a sudden the GPS quits. What do? Oh my God, I got to pull over. Right? We don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
Where if your brain is the same way, hold up. You don't know where you're going. You have to have an address. What's your address? I want to be healthy. I want to be fit. That's your address. I want to be great at communication. I want to be good at connecting. I want to be a romantic. I want to be, and you design how you are through boosting your neurotransmitters and understanding how your body works with the foods and nutrients and exercise that you put into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we are close to time, and I want to make sure we get off here in time for you to get to your next thing. So, so I don't see any more questions. I see a few statements from Raina. So when you get a chance to come back in and talk to her a little bit, maybe. But tell them a little bit about how they can work with you, what they need to do next as far as finding you, other than like you just told a little bit about your thing. Did you say it's tomorrow?
No, it's the 19th.
The 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
share a little bit about that.
Yeah. If you go on Eventbrite, you can find me under your brain coach, Rose. Rose Monk, Gray Matter Clinic, anything like that. If you look on Eventbrite, you'll find the events, and usually once a month and sometimes twice a month, I'll have an event which works with emotional freedom.
Okay.
And I try to.
He's asking now, is there a brain diet?
It depends on your brain. So there is a brain assessment that I can give. And I learned how to do this through attending Ammon University. I got certified as a brain coach. But there is an assessment that you can do, which will tell you there's 1 through 16 brain types. And like I was a brain type 8. Now that I've been doing all of these supplements, I'm a brain type 2. Okay. So brain type 8 is a very different, anxious, ADHD, trauma-filled kind of brain. Like 11 would be a little bit more of insecurities, a little bit of depression. And so you eat differently for your brain type. So you'll take supplements, different things like that. So there's 16.
So is that something that you do for people? You take them through that process?
I do. Yeah.
All right.
And so I help women stop spiraling, really, is the basic thing, because we start stabilizing and we get into control of emotions. And I do that through one-on-one coaching or events like the one that we're having. It's just free, or you can come to a retreat. And I also have some groups like I have the Brain and Body Hour, which is not this month, but next May. I think it's May or June. It's every Thursday night at 6:00, and you just hop on and you can hear about the Brain and Body Hour. But rewiring your patterns to help you understand who you are, how you want to be through brain-based strategies, of course. This actually gives you an idea of how you can take this strategy and create some recalibration to stop escalating, to stop being, the first 15 times you ask your kid to clean his room and the 16th time you lose your crap. Mm-hmm. It's been building up. And how can I not have that? And how can I interact in a way that gets me what I want or what I need without manipulation, without self-sabotaging ways? Those and no guesswork. Those are the things that I teach. And it's not about just trying harder or eat this or eat that. It's a conglomerate. Like you're saying, it's 1 degree shift in each of these avenues leaves you in a completely different location by the time you're done. So if you're starting across the parking lot and you're going diagonal, let's see if I can just find a card. Okay, so let's pretend this is a parking lot and this is you. and you want to get here, and it's a straight line. If you change 1 degree and you make another change, and you keep making changes, you might end up over here. That's a completely different location than you would have been. And those
Mhm.
are all just because you've made a 1 degree shift in your
Yeah.
life. And that 1 degree shift doesn't have to be medication. It can be. There's a lot of people that take medication because they don't eat right and they're never going to. And they know that. They don't want to do a holistic method because they need help now. Holistic sometimes takes a few weeks to kick in. It's about
Yeah.
six weeks or so. And then you finally start feeling it. And then you add something new. And then you feel that. And then you add something new and you feel that. And then you add, tea, or you add healthy eating, or you add, and so you're constantly improving. But there are a lot of people who don't want that.
Right. They're
Yeah.
looking for the quick fix.
Yeah, either that or they just don't have it in them. Like a lot of people, they're in school, they're working 60 hours a week, they're trying to take care, they have kids, they just cannot change their diet because their kids can only have mac and cheese and hot dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and they don't have time to make 2 dinners. So there are a lot of times where supplementation and medication might be perfect for you. We don't know that until you take your brain assessment. And so if you're white knuckling it through life, and you've been doing it for a lot of years, and you're just stressed and overreacting, and you're overwhelmed, and you're not even sure that it's a personality trait or not, I can tell you they're not personality traits. Those are patterns. And
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
built up, and those patterns can be changed, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I do, is I help you recognize your patterns, change what they are, or make a degree of change, and eventually you'll get to where you want to go. It's just finding your address.
Yeah. We have similar results. We just have different avenues of getting there, you and I. And that's why I love what you do, is because it kind of wakes up a little bit of ideas in me too. So I love that. And that's why I wanted you to come on here and share with the group, because it's some powerful stuff, right?
Yeah, it's really deep investigations and truths. And you're not supposed to just understand it. You're supposed to embrace it. You're supposed to apply it. You're supposed to make it personal. And you can spend years trying to get yourself there, or you can actually come online. It's free on the 19th.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you again, Rose, for being here. I definitely love all the work that you do, and I hope that we're able to work together for a long time, because it's such a dear thing to think about, all the things that you went through, and how you've come out on this side of it with so much knowledge and empathy for people that struggle, and how you're creating amazing work from that.
Yeah, it's really a difficult process when I look at somebody, I'm like, I've been there. Please let me help you. It's not like I'm doing this because I just need an income. I'm doing this because I've been there and I know what it's like, and it stinks to be in those situations.
Yeah.
And to have your emotions be controlling you instead of you controlling your emotions.
Yeah.
Get it the other way around. I promise you'll enjoy life a lot better.
That's right. That's right. All right. So thank you, everybody, for being here, for watching and listening. And if you're watching the replay, make sure you put #replay, play along and ask questions. And Rose will be coming in and checking on you guys, and just check for the links to all her stuff. We'll have them in the comments after we finish this recording.
Perfect.
All right. So see you guys later. Mwah.